today we are going to go over one-step equations and how to solve them. So first thing when we're solving one-step equations, we need to know what inverse operations are. So inverse operation, okay, we are going to use that to solve our one-step equations. So the equations are known as one-step equations. They can be solved by using inverse operation. Inverse operations undo each other. So the examples of that are like addition. The inverse or the opposite operation would be subtraction. And if I have multiplication, the inverse operation would be division. So to solve one-step equations, one step means there's just one math thing to do. When we get on to two-step, there's just going to be two different math operations that we probably have to do. So the steps to solve this, we're going to first locate the variable. So figure out what the variable is. So like looking at our example, where's the variable? It's x. Then we need to determine the operation tied to the variable, okay? It's plus. Then we need to use the inverse operation on both sides of the equal sign to solve, and then check your solution. So on the next slide, I'll show you kind of what that means, but we always want our x on one side, and we want it to have a positive in front of it, and we want all the rest of the numbers over here on the other side of the equal sign. So the example like we have up here, 3 plus x equals 7. Some of you probably know that in your head already, but if I look here and I have 3, well, if there's no negative sign, it's positive. So if it's plus 3, the inverse operation or the opposite of that would be negative 3. If I do it to the left side, I have to do it to the right side. 3 minus 3 cancels out. 7 minus 3 is 4. So bring the rest of the information down, and I end up having x equals 4. Okay, so now let's look at some of the examples we have here. I want us to show our work so we can go ahead and prove that, and then I'll show how you check your solution also. So looking at number 1, I have x plus 14 equals 30. So I want to leave the x on the left-hand side. I have plus 14 here. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. So if I minus 14 from this side, I also have to minus 14 from this side. Plus positive 14 minus 14 will be 0. Bring my x down. X equals. So 30 minus 14 gives me 16. X equals 16 is the solution I came up with. So now to check my solution, I'm going to rewrite the problem with 16 in it. So 16 plus 14, and if I get 30, which I do, I proved it. That is how I check it. Take what you have for x here and put it back into the problem to solve and double check. So the answer is x equals 16. Okay, number 2. 2 plus y equals negative 4. So looking at the information I have, I want to leave y on the left-hand side. It's already positive. I have 2. 2 is positive. So if I have $2 in my bank account and I want my bank account balance to be 0, what do I have to do? Well, I have to subtract. Oh, let's write with a pencil here. So subtract 2. If I subtract 2 from one side, I have to subtract 2 from the other side. Positive 2 minus 2 turns out to be 0. And now on the other side, I have negative 4 minus 2. And remember, if I have negative $4 in my bank account, I take $2 more out of my bank account, I will end up with negative 6. And then bring the rest of the information down. Y equals negative 6. Again, I can add this information back up, putting negative 6 in for y. So 2 plus negative 6. What do I get? Remember, if I plus a negative, that is the same as subtracting. So 2 take away 6 equals negative 4. And that is correct. Negative 4 is what I had over here. Looking at number 3, 5 plus p equals negative 18. So again, I want to leave p alone on one side and figure out what the value of p is. Well, if I have positive 5 here, I want that to 0 out, so I can subtract 5 from this side. If I subtract it from one side, I have to do it from both sides. The exact same thing. So make sure you write it here, prove that that's zeroed out. Negative 18 minus 5 gives me negative 23. Bring the rest of the information down. P equals negative 23. Go ahead and check that by putting 5 plus negative 23. So putting this in for P in the problem, plus a negative, we know is negative. 5 minus 23. Well, if I have $5 in my bank account and I charge my debit card for $23, well, my current balance in my bank account is going to be negative 18. Last but not least, looking at number 4, C plus 7 equals negative 3. So what is C going to be? Well, I have plus 7, and if I want to get C alone on that side, I have to remove plus 7, the inverse operation of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Plus 7 minus 7, this is going to 0 out. Negative 3 minus 7. So if I have $3 or negative $3 in my bank account and I use my debit card again for $7 more out of my bank account, the bank would tell me my current balance is negative 10. So negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10, bringing the rest of the information down that I need. C equals negative 10. Now take negative 10 and put it back in to the problem and let's see what we get. So negative 10 plus 7. If that equals negative 3, I have the correct answer. So let's think about this. If I owe my friend $10 and I give them $7, how much more money do I still owe them? I still owe them $3. So that is correct. Okay, on these example problems, we are not doing addition and subtraction. We are doing multiplication and division. So looking up here at number 1, I have 3x. 3x really means, here's so I can write with a pen. So 3x really means 3 times x, okay? We're going to assume or know there is going to be this little dot for multiplication in between the coefficient and the variable, okay? Anytime you see a number and a letter pushed next to each other, it means multiplication, okay? So this means 3 times x. Well, the inverse operation of multiplication is division. But I want to leave the x alone here. So I need to divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 will give me 1. That'll cancel out, okay? And then I have 36 divided by 3. And 3 goes into 36. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 6 twice is 12. So 36 divided by 3 is 12. And I bring the rest of the information down. X equals 12. Looking at number 2, the variable and coefficient are on the right-hand side of the equal sign, but it does not matter this way, okay? It does not matter because we just need the variable on one side alone by itself. It does not matter if it's on the left side or the right side. All it matters is that we get m all by itself. So the easiest way to do that here is to start over here with 9m. 9m really means 9 times m. So I need to go ahead and get m by itself. I will divide it both by 9. If I divide that one side by 9, I have to divide the other side by 9. 9 divided by 9, it'll cancel out. And then I have a negative. Pay attention to this here. I have one negative in a division problem. So I have to have 2 negatives somewhere. So if I'm not dividing 2 negatives by each other, my answer will be negative. 9 goes into 108. Can't go in here. 9 goes into 10 once. Get 9. It'll give me 1. Bring the 8 down. 18. 9 goes into 18 2 times. So my answer is negative 12 equals, because I'm bringing the rest of the information down, m. Now a way to go ahead and prove that, if we want to go ahead and check our solution, we're going to go ahead and go 9 times negative 12. I'll put that in parentheses. If 9 times negative 12 is 108, we are correct. Well, 9 times, let me do it this way, 9 times 10 gives me 90. 9 times 2 gives me 18. Here I have 8, 9, plus 10, 0, 1. And I know, since I have one negative sign, I'll need it with the answer. It is 108. That is how we can check our solution. Okay, number 3, negative 10n equals negative 50. Well, again, negative 10n really means negative 10 times n. So since that means negative 10 times n, the inverse operation is dividing. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 10. Negative 10 divided by negative 10 will cancel out, leaving me with just n equals negative 50 divided by negative 10. Let's see, 10 goes into 50. 10 goes into 50 5 times. I divided a negative by a negative, so my answer will be positive. N equals 5. And again, I can go ahead and put that information back in there to check. Negative 10 times 5 equals negative 50. That is correct. Number 4, negative 17x equals 34. Negative 17x means negative 17 times x. Well, the inverse operation of times is dividing. Divide both sides by negative 17. So negative 17 divided by negative 17 will cancel out, leaving me only x equals 17 goes into 34 twice, no remainders, so I have a 2, but pay attention, I have one negative and a positive here. So a negative divided by a positive, my answer is going to be negative. X equals negative 2.